my phone on silent. Okay.
Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Sweet. I'm a realtor with Maybaum, and I have Miss Tiffany Robinson here. We're on our first Zoom meeting ever, so it's pretty exciting. But I'm doing a series right now online of local business experts and people who can help you in the community who have lots of industry knowledge. And Miss Tiffany is the first person that I am using for this local podcast. So I'm going to ask Tiffany some questions so you can get to know her and you can see how she can help you and your family. All right. Tiffany, how are you doing today?
Hey, Ashley. How's it going?
Doing good. Okay. So Tiffany, I want to just have you introduce yourself. Can you tell me a little bit about you, where you're from, what's your background, and how you even ended up working for such a big company like Liberty Mutual?
Sure thing. So I have an exciting life. Born and raised in Augusta, went off to school at UGA and lived in Atlanta for a couple years. While I was at UGA, my roommate in college, I was an insurance major, by the way, at Georgia, but my roommate in college, her fiance started working at Liberty Mutual and he started recruiting us. So I interviewed right before I graduated, and I was working for State Farm at the time, and they were wanting me to go work for them, and Liberty Mutual had a great package, sounded like company that was really starting up. And I mean, they've been around since 1912, but nothing in the Southeast. So I started working there, and we've kind of built a big name in the Southeast, not me personally, but a lot of the reps. And so I moved back to Augusta because I wanted to start a family, be close to my family. And it's been 17 and a half years now, and it's insane, getting old, but I'm loving it. And
you're not that old.
Well, yeah. Get this covered up right now.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. So, you know, we are working from home. Everyone's working from home, and we're going to continue with this trend. So what are some of the things that we could use in insurance for a home-based business?
Okay, so since we're all pretty much indoors, stuck inside working from home, it's important to know what your homeowner's insurance policy covers, because a lot of them don't cover home-based insurance policies.
Okay.
But the deal with that is if you have your liability insurance policy or any type of commercial policy, that will cover you. But the good news is your home policy will cover you as long as you don't see clients in your house.
Okay.
And if you do see clients, you just have to get an endorsement on there. Sometimes it costs nothing, and sometimes very little. It just depends on what type of business that you do. So me working from home, I don't have to have anything on there. I'm covered. I don't see any clients though at my house. And if I did, it would just be that exposure. So just make sure you're covered and not leaving yourself to liability. Because if a client were to walk on in, you're just thinking you're setting up, they fall on your stairs trying to get in, you're opening yourself up for a big liability claim. And if you're not covered, you're out of pocket.
That's good to know. I did not know that. So that's good information. Okay. And so let's say, I mean, I'm not going to have any more kids, but some people will. And what do we do as a family? Like if your family grows or if it changes, you know, if your family dynamic changes at all, then how do you structure that with your insurance?
So with insurance, now I sell auto, home, life, annuities, all sorts of things like that. And everything kind of changes as your families grow. So obviously as your family grows and you need to add more cars, you know, you need to make sure your liability on your car insurance, that you're covered enough. Your asset, your home is one of your biggest assets, or maybe, you know, the biggest asset that you have. And you want to make sure that if you were to have somebody slip and fall on your property or an accident, that you're covered. And the older you get, the more likely your house is paid down less. So you're opening yourself up to lose everything that you've worked hard for. And the biggest thing, life insurance, as your family grows, make sure that you're covering your family, because you know, God forbid something happens when you're young. I mean, we all know it's going to happen.
Right.
So I say everybody needs to have a policy, but you know, things are happening. We're in crazy times right now. You just never know. And it's always good to make sure you're covered so that you're not leaving your family behind with, you know, thinking about having to sell the house. Let them be comfortable and covering your biggest assets.
Okay. That's really good advice. Really good. Just be prepared. All right. I have another question, of course, that doesn't pertain to me, but as a young person who's coming out of school and entering the workforce, or soon is going to enter the workforce, what type of insurance can you help them with?
So young people starting from college, I'll just use my experience when I was getting out. I, of course, wanted to buy a new car, get a new job, get a new car. I was on my own. I wanted to prove that I could do this. So went and got a new car. So car insurance, you're leaving from your family's policy most likely. You need to start your own. It's good to go ahead and do that. Get a good car policy, make sure your liability limits, like I said, are covered, all of that. If you're renting, which a lot of people out of college are renting, make sure you have renter's coverage, because if there were to be a fire, you would lose all of your belongings. And obviously, I'm a big believer in life insurance when you're young, because I know I started my policies when I was 21, and I'll have them paid off in a couple years, because I did, where they're paid up in 20 years. So that's always important to have. It's less money. You might be starting off with nothing, but it's less money at the beginning than when you're older, and maybe you have some health issues, things like that you might not qualify. But always think ahead, and just kind of like your savings, where you're putting money away, just try to do everything a little bit, so when you are old enough, you can retire without having to work the rest of your life.
Okay, so don't put it off. Start young, and just, it's not so big, it's just small little chunks.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
yes, little by little.
Yeah. All right. So we're all quarantined, and a lot of people are thinking about even remodeling their home or adding on, like, let's say, an outdoor kitchen or things like that, because all we can do is be at home. So what are the things insurance-wise that we can think of in terms of additions for the home or remodeling?
So on your homeowner's insurance policy, you would need to call your agent, which if you don't have one, or you want to get a new one,
Call Tiffany.
It's always good to look at it, because say you're adding a guest house, say you're adding a separate policy or separate structure that might be over 100,000. You won't have that coverage on your home policy most likely. So you need to call them, let them know what's going on, and say, hey, I'm adding an addition, or I'm adding this outdoor kitchen. What does my policy cover, and what do I need to add? Because while you're building it, you need to go ahead and have that coverage for the full amount, because if there were a loss, you wouldn't be covered. Okay. So always good to cover and call them. The HOA, of course, you need to call them, make sure you get it approved, because the minute you start pulling permits and they weren't allowed, they'll shut you down on that stuff as well. So think ahead on that one, but it's always good to call your insurance company in advance and let them know what's going on. They will do a new estimate based on if you have appraisals or things like that. Yeah. And if you don't, they'll do an estimate on what it would cost and adjust your premiums with that.
Okay, so do your due diligence prior to pulling out any hammers.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
Yes, for sure.
All right, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time, Tiffany. I'm going to link the bottom of this video Tiffany's contact information and her email and phone number, and she's always available and super helpful. And we really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Ashley. You're rocking it.
Bye.
Bye.